Joining us on Africa Independent Television, AIT. Welcome to Focus Nigeria. My name is Benga Aruleba. In less than 24 hours, the most topical issue in the polity in the recent time would have come full circle. The new electricity tariff regime will come into effect tomorrow, June 1st, 2012. Although the belief by the people is that the new tariffs would mean paying more for light, the government says this is not necessarily so because the tariffs are in different categories and will not necessarily translate to increase for everybody. But the government is not winning the arguments yet, mainly because there has been no significant improvement in the level of power supply in the country. And so, simply put, are the people being asked to pay more for a service that is ever so epileptic, or are we being asked to pay more for darkness? But a dispassionate assessment of the power sector shows that the issues are not as simple as this. They are not cut and dry issues. The power sector reforms are far-reaching and comprehensive, and government says, given more time, the results will become visible. If this is so, why then is the government putting the cart before the horse in this matter? Why not wait first for these reforms to bear fruit or translate to at least some improved power supply for Nigerians before asking them to they pay more? These are the points in this raging controversy. There are also the concerted efforts by the government to alleviate the possible hardships that an increase in electricity tariff would necessarily engender. We'll be looking at all of this shortly, so stay with us. But a quick review of the polity, and let's start from The Hague, that is in the Netherlands, where the UN-backed War Crimes Court handed down a 50-year jail term to former Liberian president and warlord Charles Taylor yesterday. The special court set up to try cases arising from the Sierra Leone war found Charles Taylor guilty of crimes against humanity, inhuman treatment, and genocide during the 5 years that the Sierra Leone crisis lasted. Taylor was accused of personally supervising the dehumanization of people, among them Nigerians. We've hosted some of them on this program in the past, whose limbs were cut. Pregnant women had their wombs cut open to settle bets over the sex of their unborn children, while many were simply kept as sex slaves. Taylor, who is 64, insists he is not guilty. Well, he can keep telling that to the Marines, but it's a sad end for a man who lived a life of bloodletting and abuses. It's a sad reminder as well for leaders who would also want to turn against their people and become despots. It's a reminder to them that the world has indeed become one global village, and that no matter what you do, there certainly will be consequences. And as we have seen here in the case of Charles Taylor, the consequences may not always be palatable. At 64 and facing a 50-year jail term, the end has certainly come for Charles Taylor. All right, from The Hague, we are coming back home, and Edo State is where we are anchoring immediately. As you know by now, governorship election will hold in that state on July 14, and the preparations are hotting up. Let's start from INEC, which has now suspended the proposed voter registration updates in the state. And obviously, the electoral body has nobody else but itself to blame for the sad turn of events as regards this exercise. It is obvious that INEC's actions have fallen short of the law, its intentions completely ignoble. Let me justify these assertions by a quick critical analysis of the facts. Now, before any major election, such as the governorship election, which is scheduled in Edo State, the law requires an update of the voter register for that state to allow those who have missed out on the opportunity to register before, or those who have come of age between the time the voter registration took place or the last election took place and then the new election, at least for them to be able to register and be able to vote. That's what the law requires. It's called continuous voter registration and holds only in local government headquarters, not at all wards or all designated police centers. But what do we have or what did we see in Edo State? INEC was reported to have deployed well over 400 DDC machines as if it was preparing for a fresh voter registration exercise. There were also other allegations that the machines were deployed in a manner that raised more than passing interest. There were allegations as well that the machines were also recalibrated to very high resolution in some places, and then the voter register in these local governments were then fed into the highly calibrated DDC machines with a view to eliminating so many already registered voters. Now here you have a situation whereby if you have 2 or 5 Mohammeds, it doesn't matter whether it's Muhammad Aliyu or Muhammad Benga or Muhammad Ojo. Once you have multiple cases of Muhammad, the machine simply deletes all of them. Now that was what was going on before the alarm was raised. The allegations received some authenticity when an INEC ad hoc staff was also caught red-handed with a DDC machine at an odd place at an odd time. Not only that, some alleged PDP members were also caught with freshly issued voter registration cards. And on these, 3 people were already being tried at the magistrate court in Edo State. It was on account of all of this that INEC had to cancel the voter registration update. Even his explanation last weekend that the INEC has ad hoc staff arrested was on lawful duty had not completely cleared the air on the part of INEC. What about those facing trial in the court who were caught with so many voter registration? How did they come about these cards in their possession? Only INEC can explain, and it has not explained all of this. But thankfully, INEC took the only face-saving option by putting a stop to this controversial exercise. But there are latest developments from Edo State, and they have to do with the PDP campaigns, which have suffered severe blows. You notice that the PDP has not started any campaign, even when you see the other parties campaigning. The problem is that the PDP is facing credibility problems. And all the big wigs, all the big names that could have been counted upon to either lead the campaigns, as you have seen Igodomi Igodo and others doing for the ACN, all of them are so bitter with the PDP. They are still bitter over the conduct of the party's primaries and are not ready to be associated or do anything positive at all to help the umbrella party. Well, okay, let's put a stop to it. I will tell you all of this tomorrow, as I have spent so much time already today. So, let's take a quick break. Let's prepare for our discussions this morning. You may also have the opportunity of taking part in this program this morning. We are talking about electricity and the fact that from tomorrow you may be paying more. So it's an issue that concerns you one way or the other. Let's take a break to prepare for the discussions.
Govern out of anger or yield to the politics of the moment.
Okay, if you're just joining us, our discussions are starting now. We have a little challenge here, which is that we don't have a complete panel. We were supposed to be having somebody. The